Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting for October 5th to order. Start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Warrant and bills have been signed. Approval of the agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second that.
All in favor? Do we have copies for people? Or?
Yep, public hearing's ready to go, yep.
Okay, great.
Been handed out.
Public hearing is
Very
first.
top. At the top.
Very good, thank you. Okay, purpose is to have a public hearing to discuss the proposed warrants that will be at the town meeting on, or excuse me, on by ballot on November 8th. There are 3 articles here, excuse me, 4. Well, one to choose a moderator. I guess that's going to be pretty straightforward. The second article is regarding the future of Acton's annual town meeting. Which form of voting do you prefer? An open town meeting versus a referendum secret ballot. This is a non-binding question that will be on the ballot. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to increase the current number of selectmen, assessors, and overseers of the poor from its current number of 3 elected persons to 5 elected persons over the next 2 years. In 2023, 2 selectmen would be elected. In 2024, 2 selectmen will be elected. In 2025, 1 selectman will be elected, and continue on that 3-year basis. And Article 4 is to see if the town will vote to transfer $100,000 from the school's unassigned funds to the school's designated capital improvement reserve account for the purpose of upgrading to LED lighting throughout the school. In consideration of the folks that are here from the school, I'd like to take up Article 4 first. So, John, are you going to speak to this?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you and good evening. I'm John Ross. I'm the superintendent and principal of the Acton School Department, and we have an article that's written to see if the town of Acton will vote to transfer $100,000 from the school's unassigned fund to the school's designated capital improvement reserves account for the purposes of upgrading to LED lighting throughout the school. So we had an opportunity to work with Efficiency Maine, and Efficiency Maine is the independent administrator for energy efficiency programs in Maine. Efficiency Maine's mission is to lower the cost and environmental impacts of energy in Maine by promoting cost-effective energy efficiency and alternative energy systems. And the way this works is every now and then Efficiency Maine will have an opportunity that passes by our desks that fit schools. And in this case, there was a program that Efficiency Maine will sponsor that does fit the size of our school. The school department is asking voters to move $100,000 from the school's unassigned to the capital reserve for the LED lighting. The Efficiency Maine program will reimburse $42,205 after the target completion date of February 17th, 2023. So there's about a 40% rebate you get back if you spend $100,000 in lighting. There were some really good questions that were presented to us at the Warrant and Finance Committee. Andy and I were able to answer many of them, but we needed to get back to you on some others. So I just have those 4 questions in front of me and thought I would answer those and then take any questions you may have of me. How many fixtures are we replacing? The answer is 550. How long do LED lights last? LED lights are rated to last up to 50,000 hours of use, whereas fluorescent lights are rated between 7,000 and 15,000 hours. What is the warranty on the new LED lights? Depending on which component is in the fixture, it's 3 to 5 years. And what is the temperature range of the LED bulbs? Between 3,000 and 5,000, depending on the learning area. And lastly, what consumes more electricity, an LED driver or an electronic ballast? An LED driver lasts 50,000 hours and is 90% efficient. An electronic ballot lasts up to 75,000 hours, but is only 25% efficient. So those were the answers to the questions that we left with last time we were here, and I'm certainly here for any questions you may have.
Just clarify, there were some good numbers at the Warrant and Finance Committee that were talked about. As I understand, we have $100,000. We're basically going to get $40,000 as a rebate. So we've got a $60,000 net capital project. And the annual savings from this are estimated in excess of $30,000.
That's correct, 32.
Per year.
Yes,
So this has
32,
got a 2-year payback, which
Correct.
is just incredible
Correct.
that you can get something like that. So I just wanted to have that out there, and are you now would anyone like to make any comment?
Yes, sir.
Please come forward.
Actually, if you want to stay,
I'll stay right here.
it's a question. So when the $40,000 rebate comes back, which account does that go into? The unassigned or the capital reserve?
Yes, and the night that I was asked that, I made the assumption it was the unassigned. The answer is it's the capital reserve.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
Is there a reason why it's going to the capital reserve versus returning it to the unassigned?
I asked my finance director that question because I was under the assumption it would go to unassigned, and the answer is once it's pulled from unassigned and put into an account to be used for, to pay for a project, anything associated with that, such as a rebate, would go back into that fund.
It would go back into the capital.
Into the capital reserve fund, yes, correct, Charlie.
Other questions, comments?
I think this is a really good idea. This is gonna
I think
save
it's
some money in
great.
the long
Thank
run.
you for
Yes.
pursuing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you bet. Okay, let's go back to Article 2, which has to do with the form of town meeting. This was, are there any comments, or anyone wishing to have any questions or comments about this?
Ray Lopez. On the draft that we have here, it has, the way it reads, is there's only one word difference in pulling it from the website, from the town website. And it has the word "or" in between open town meeting or referendum secret ballot. And I think that kind of clarifies it just a little bit more for people that may have been confused from that aspect of it. So I just wanted to point that out.
Regarding the future, which form are going to?
Thoughts?
Was there an order there before?
No, the sample ballot
confused.
has the word "or" in there, and that will appear on the ballot.
Okay.
Okay, we'll have the, I
Nancy,
think it does clarify it. Thank you.
Nancy Roma, excuse me, and I'll reiterate pretty much what I said before, in that this is the purest form of democracy that's practiced in the United States. It gives everyone a chance to hear the pros and cons of arguments. The selectmen are on an equal footing with all the citizens in town because it is the moderator's meeting. Also, before we do this, I think it would be good to at least try some alternatives to a June meeting date, such as having it either in late April or May, something like that. You know, everybody enjoys the nice weather in June. We wait all year for it, and I can understand that. A big obstacle to some people attending this was lack of childcare. In previous years, we have had childcare offered. It certainly could be done again. There are high school students that have community service credits that need to be filled. This would certainly be an opportunity to do that. It is a chance to truly understand what is going on in your town and what it involves. It's a chance for the community to come together. You can answer questions. The length of the warrant, may be intimidating to some people. Perhaps some effort could be put into consolidating the warrant and eliminating a lot of the questions, or at least some of the questions. A third, a half, something like that. But that's my thoughts on it.
Thank you.
Any other comment, Bernie? Or Charlie?
You didn't think I was going to not say anything, did you? I happen to agree with 99% of what she just stated. I'm curious, or my main objection to the way this was written is you're limiting it to 2 options. I understand it's non-binding, but why wasn't there a consideration, a third option? I mean, Maine does do ranked choice voting and stuff. A third option to where the town would return to the, what was it, second Saturday in March is what the historical town meeting date was, when there isn't all the issues with great weather during the summer, graduations, people going away on vacation, et cetera. Everyone's ready to get out from their snow cover and come to a town meeting and socialize again, which is what town meetings were historically at one point. Yeah. That's my objection to the way it's worded.
Yeah.
The rationale for it, yeah, I think it's a good article. Or to get the opinion from the citizenry on the article. I think it's being rushed, and I think this should be reworded before it's presented to the general public.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bernard Broder. I'm in favor, as I've said before, of transitioning from the town meeting form of governance to secret ballot. However, if I understand correctly, the select board would have the option of creating a hybrid where some issues could be secret ballot and there could still be a town meeting for other issues, which I'm assuming, a possibility would be some sort of a threshold on the amount of money involved or something of that nature. So that those who want the town meeting and want to participate still can. And certainly the social aspect of the town meeting can still be maintained even if we don't have a town meeting. What I wanted to do was just go through some of the objections I've heard to transitioning to a secret ballot and give my thoughts on those. One is the issue of citizens being educated about what they're voting on and an opportunity for dialogue. And I think that there are many opportunities for that prior to June if people want to attend committee meetings, select board meetings, warrant and finance committee and so forth, or to view those if they want that information. But it's not a requirement that one be educated before they vote, particularly in a way that anyone else wants them to be. We have the right to vote and to educate ourselves in the way that we wish to. We vote on much more substantial budgetary considerations on our county budget and state budget, for example. I'm not aware of us having to undergo any education or attend certain meetings before we do that, and so forth. Some people have cited that nominations from the floor for committees are done at town meeting, and that then people who want to run for those committees would have to take out papers in order to vote, and so they oppose changing from town meeting. It seems odd to me that some people would feel that in order to vote, that you need to sit through hours and hours of dialogue on issues and be educated on them just in order to cast a ballot, but that you want to run for office, hold the town office, and that it's too much to get 25 signatures to do that. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. having the town meeting, as we've discussed before, it's one day. It's a big chunk of that day. It's hard to get here. A lot of people are precluded from voting. Some of the people that may be precluded are elderly citizens who tend to show up to vote at secret ballot votes. People who are sick cannot get an absentee ballot for town meeting. They can if it's referendum. And some of the people who serve this community the most may be precluded from voting. If you're a firefighter and you're scheduled for that day, you can't go. If you're a nurse or an EMT, I mean, on and on and on. Some of the most dedicated public servants are precluded from voting in this process because they're serving us. And I think that's something to think about. I know that in the ideal world, people would like to have the town meeting continue and more people be there. At the last, my understanding is during COVID, that there was a secret ballot instead of a town meeting and that over 500 people participated. That's great. Let's say we had 300, 400, 500 people all of a sudden who did decide to participate in town meeting. How would we do that? Where would they go? How would we have these discussions with that many people? How would you even do the vote? I think logistically it would be really difficult. I don't think that's going to happen, that you're going to get 500 people, but an increased attendance is something to think about. I know that it's a change in tradition, but again, a hybrid works around that. An annual picnic works around that. I just want to point out that it's my observation that some of those who do not want to transition from town meeting to referendum voting based on tradition are the very people who are advocating for this historic building to be torn down and replaced by a multi-million-dollar facility. It strikes me as odd, because if you're into tradition and history and preservation, I would think that would be a concern as well. So I think there's a lot involved in this. There are a lot of layers, there are a lot of issues, and the bottom line is, I think people have the right to vote without sitting through a town meeting. Thank you.
Mary Stanton. When I was listening to Nancy, I was like, yeah, that's it. That's everything I would have said. You have to have a town meeting. It has nothing to do with tradition. It has to do with people getting up and speaking. People have to stop being afraid of talking and saying what they feel. And you can't get anybody to come to the meeting. Well, that's too bad. The most boisterous will be there. So that's the way it is. I think we should have the town meeting. The problem is June. That's the problem. June is the problem. I would pick something in March, April. So if you can move it, I would do that. Thank you.
I got a question for you. The school does that on a referendum, right?
Yes.
I don't believe that we should. I feel we should go back to the town and the school being together again.
Well, I'm just asking.
That's what I would do.
Remember, they do it a different way for a reason, so there's got to be a reason why they did it.
No, there was a time where we had to do it, and then it never stopped. But the problem is, when we had to do it because of the state, we went and moved the meeting up and took it away from the June meeting. So when the school is involved, there's usually some parents who would come to those meetings. So it hasn't been moved back to June, and I would prefer it just to be with the town the way we used to do it.
Talking about a combined thing?
Huh? I would.
What's that?
I would say combine it back. Should be the town with the school.
At one.
That's my opinion.
Yep. Oh, and that, that, if we could do that, you would obviously increase, I think, voter participation, I
Right.
think, at that point, because those meetings were always a lot larger.
Good evening.
Mr. Neal.
Dick Neal. I was selectman back in the 90s, and this question comes up about, this town meeting being in June. I'm the one that set it up in June, back in 1994. We turned around, and the reason for that was at that time, the school could not get their financial inputs probably till late May from the state. And so they couldn't come up with their, and there was a general feeling that we wanted to have a combined town meeting with the town articles, with the school articles, so that we could look at the whole financial picture all in one view. Since that time, something's happened at the school where all of a sudden they was able to turn around and get their budget together and sometimes in March, and have their town meeting in April. So there's the only thing that would prevent moving the municipal portion back would be to turn around and for the selectmen to set up the budget process earlier and set out a budget schedule so that all of a sudden the Warrant Finance Committee would have their meetings and whatnot, and it would kind of merge together with the schools sometime probably in late March, and then you could have a joint one in April if it was, because I've heard that complaint, time and time again, where in June, you've got college kids graduating, you've got weddings, it's garden time, and there's all kinds of excuses why people don't want to take time out to go to the town meeting. So I'd just like to put to bed why it was in June. I was the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, and I set it up that way, and it was to turn around and work with the school on their budget. But times have changed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question?
Any other comment? Charlie?
Charles Heider. I guess I have one question. I have assets in other states also, and every state and every municipality does things differently. Is there a reason why you can't, or it seems as though the school budget is separate from municipal budget, why you can't have a separate town meeting just for municipal as you have a separate voting just for the school budget? I mean,
Isn't that what we
there
do now?
are some places where you get a separate tax bill for school, and you get one for your municipal and county.
I believe what you're asking is our current practice.
Right.
Yeah, you get a school vote.
But when we go at town meeting, we also vote on appropriations for school budget.
I believe it.
No, they're separate. The school
separate.
budget, this school budget is in April, and then the town budget has been in June.
Yeah.
The last year, our warrant, we had school issues in there.
We did this year. 'cause we
Once in a
rolled
while,
over
there
money
may
on
be
our
one
budget.
article in there that the school, for whatever reason, needed to put on the June, but if you go to the town's website under election results, you'll see April votes for the last several years.
For the school budget.
For the school budget.
And we had also this year voted to, I think it was $100,000, we voted to put back into their undesignate, their.
Yeah,
Right.
occasionally you'll
Correct.
find one on the other. We've had petition articles from the town that we've had to put on the school budget. Depending on timing, but 99% of the budget of the schools has been in April, and the rest of the towns has been in June. They used to be combined. You gotta remember, and the superintendent will tell you this, that they were all combined in June, but there was a time when the school budget failed several times.
Right.
And my recollection is they moved it back to April to, just in case the budget doesn't pass, it gave them a chance to adjust the numbers. Nancy's agreeing with me because she was selectman. So the school used to be in June, it used to be all one meeting, school and town all together.
Okay.
When the school budget failed 2 or 3 times for a consistent amount of years, they asked that it get moved back to April, so that just in case the voters disagreed with something and it failed, they had time to go back before the voters before the new school year started in July. That's why that was changed to April.
Okay, yeah, I heard that it was just 1 year, but,
I think it was a couple of years it failed,
oh, was it? Okay.
yeah.
I tend to remember this past June, several warrant articles that were dealt with the school.
I think there was one, Charlie, but maybe there were 2, but certainly the school budget was done in. the-
April 26th to 22.
So
Okay, good enough.
Yes.
I think it's important to realize, too, that it's not just because of passing our budget, or not passing our budget, but by having our budget passed in April, we're able to know what we can do as far as we can begin the hiring process. If we have to wait until June to start hiring teachers, when we see what our budget is, then that really puts us at a real disadvantage, because everybody else is already looking for people. So one of the important reasons for having our budget early in April is so that we can get into the pool of hiring in time. And I can only say that when we did have our school budget meetings as a town meeting, before we went to doing the referendum, our attendance in April was very poor.
It was what?
Poor, yeah.
Any other comments? Yes, Mr.
So it's with some reluctance I bring us, since everybody's already talked about the possible failure of articles. We have a good example next door, Lebanon. Lebanon does all of their articles, has for a number of years, done everything by referendum. Historically, occasionally articles fail. It's late in the year, so that means that there's no money for certain things, and I got to come back with a special town meeting. And so that, if we go to referendum, that's something that is the high possibility. It would be very difficult articles that fail, and then the selectmen are left with no money to do whatever. So that's one of the outcomes. Yes.
So say we're at a town meeting,
Yeah.
and say I was a road commissioner,
Yep.
okay, and I was asking for $100,000 for my roads. And what would be the difference if, say, I was asking for $100,000 and somebody made a motion to amend the article to grant them $10,000? Or $0 for that,
Right.
and it passes, what's the difference?
Well, that's a possibility too, but
Exactly.
I think most what happens historically at town meetings is people are pretty reasonable, and what you don't know at referendum is what the outcome is going to be, and failure is a distinct failure. There's
Shouldn't know
no.
what the outcome's gonna be at a town meeting either, would you think? Other than
Well,
that,
it's possible, but it doesn't happen, does it? No. When have we ever designated zero for the roads?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah, and I understand that,
Right.
but me being the next road commissioner.
Yeah.
You've been there when I've spent much of my time arguing reason
Yep.
why I need it.
Yep.
Why somebody doesn't think I need it.
Right.
And then I end up getting it anyways. Which at some points, it feels almost pointless that you've argued for 30 minutes over something that passed unanimously anyways.
Yeah.
So I think that's some of the frustration that some people get out of town meeting is.
Absolutely, but there's a difference between that discussion and absolute failure, zero. It
Oh, no,
doesn't
and
at
you're right, you're
referendum.
right. But at the end of the day, you don't, so the same people that voted on that and passed those issues, you don't think those same people are gonna vote on referendum the same way?
Well, it's hard to tell. It depends on the issue. No, but I'm just saying that our neighbors to the south have a referendum, and they occasionally
Yeah, but
fail.
using Lebanon, I'm not,
Okay.
I want to use it, might not be the best example.
Okay.
Maybe Waterboro and other towns that do it.
Okay.
You know, ones that run functionally.
Yeah.
They function. Those might be the better examples to use in Lebanon.
Might be. I mean, Lebanon's
How they all do it.
been doing referendum for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's another little interesting story. If you go down there during, when the polls are open down there, I've seen especially elderly couples arrive, and they've got, 50, 60, 70 articles to vote on. So Mr. and Mrs. go in the front door, and they come out the side door, and I've seen couples separated because it takes so long, they can't find each other. So what happened to my husband or my wife? They went in the front door with them, but they're still in there someplace doing 60, 70 articles. I mean, that's,
But they were able to get there to vote.
yeah, oh, yeah. I'm just bringing up the failure issue, that's all, so.
Yep, I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Bernard?
Yeah, that was one of the issues that have been raised, and I meant to respond to, and I apologize. But again, in terms of amounts that are requested, people have ways to participate at, for example, road commissioner meetings, warrant and finance, and so forth. If we vote up and down all the time, again, county budgets, state budgets, so I don't think it's something we have to fear. What I do think is that if someone presents a budget on the high side, knowing that at town meeting it can be amended downward, that's another chance to negotiate that if they know going into the referendum it's up or down, they may be more likely to be more realistic in their request. Just a thought.
Okay, thank you.
And
You go ahead.
Nancy, she had a very good point. One thing I do agree with is, consolidating the warrant. And if we do that even for the regular town meeting or the referendum, consolidating that warrant down a little bit, I think would be good for everybody.
I think when this issue first came up, it was presented as though there would be two outcomes, potential outcomes. Either we would permanently move towards a referendum vote, or we would stay with a town meeting. And it's been determined that the selectmen have the authority to decide, which form, in which year, they think should be used. I don't think this is the last time we're going to hear about this issue. I think the people will have an opportunity to speak in this non-binding referendum, and I think that will be useful. I think that will send, for me anyways, as a selectman, a very clear indication of what the people wish for. Having said that, that's what they're wishing for today. We've had 3 years of flat tax rates. I think that impacts people's desire to participate, because generally when I've gone to town meetings, money are the hot issues to get people to react and want to come out and vote. We're in a period of high inflation. Eventually that, unless something drastic happens, that's going to make its way into our budgets. And I would, as a selectman, if I'm still here, if that happens, I would think seriously about putting on, using, or trying to pass budgets through a secret ballot in an environment where we might be looking for a large increase in the budget in order to cover inflationary costs for salary and other costs. So I think it's very much going to be determined on a case-by-case basis. And I think the selectmen are going to be in a position where they're going to have to judge which form is appropriate based upon what's on the ballot. At least that's how I would think about it. So I think the fact that we have this flexibility and the people have an opportunity before those decisions are made to come to a selectmen meeting and talk about what it is their views are on this and how they think this ought to be handled, for the coming year. I think this, again, for myself, I would certainly take that into account. So not the last time we're going to talk about it. We'll see what the outcome of the non-binding referendum is. My guess is that's going to have a lot to do with how we handle things this coming spring and summer. So my thoughts on it. Any other comment? Nancy, could you hold a minute? Ray wanted to get up.
I guess I got a couple of questions. I understand that the selectmen have the choice to make, and the influence of the townspeople of how this non-binding vote goes will affect that. But what I'm listening to and what I'm hearing is, depending on how it goes, if it goes to open town meeting, well, then there be a follow-up question of when it will be done.
Could be.
I would like to know that. And if it does go to a March or April, then would, on the municipal side of things, the audits be done from the auditing people? I mean, you got a pretty good thing with the audits going on this year. Would those be able to be done earlier?
Well, the audits are typically done September, October timeframe is when they're wrapped up. That should give us sufficient time, just as the school does, to prepare a budget and, I think, have a budget ready for voting one way or the other in the spring. I personally think it can be done, given what I understand of the budget process we have there. So I don't see that as an impediment for the town. Others may have a different point of view, but I think it's very doable. So I think it would be great to hear from people, and maybe someone will want to propose through petition a referendum, a non-binding referendum that would, at the spring meeting, take a poll on when should the meetings be taking place, as you're suggesting. So I think this is going to be an evolving process, and I think the fact that the community has an opportunity to impact this, which they clearly do, that's the right thing. That's the way it should be done.
So do you believe that the article possibly should be amended with that particular?
You can't.
It's been,
They missed the, they
too
can't
late.
change it.
At the end of the day, what we're asking for is, there's two options here, open meeting or referendum.
Correct.
If it goes to an open meeting, everybody says, okay, we want to keep our open meeting, then that would be the point when you say,
Right,
okay.
let's
talk about time.
But instead of asking three different questions on something we haven't even made a decision on yet, it would be just confusing.
Right.
So, you know, I would say that if the town of Acton says on this non-binding poll, that overwhelmingly says, yeah, we want open meeting, then we would discuss changing it. I'm not in favor of changing to April or March, because honestly, I don't believe it will make a difference. Okay, people are on vacation in March and April too. People are in Florida or wherever they are.
But it doesn't hurt to try. I mean,
well, I'm just glad to get the opinion of the other two selectmen as far as if there would be a follow-up question.
No,
And
very
thank
well
you for
could be. I
answering.
mean,
Yeah.
if it passes through, and then at that point, we say, okay, we're gonna do that, and then somebody such as yourself or whoever, has made a fuss saying, this is what we ought to do, then we'll continue on.
All right, thank you.
I mean, the school added, the school added a lot of, I know I mentioned why the school changed originally, but Judy had good points of why they continue to do that, but that may be something, for the, whatever method the town of Acton goes with, changing it to that timeline might help you better prepare for the next fiscal year.
I don't think we're going to be able to get the municipal budget prepared for a vote in March.
Not
I'd be
this year,
very
yeah.
surprised. We would have to, if we were to do that, it would probably be for the next year, because there are a number of
Usually
things that would
it's
have
the-
to be
I think
done.
last time they did a year and a half
It would be set up. There are things that would have to be done in order to allow us to have that budget put together in that
And
timeframe.
they-
I don't think we
They
can do it.
usually meet the last week of April, so possibly.
Possibly, but I think it would be a challenge, but we'd look at it.
I was just wondering, is there anything under state guidelines or laws that govern how the town switches their format from one style, either referendum voting to a open town meeting or vice versa?
Well, MMA's already told us that we can do it now. We can go to a referendum now because of the way that we vote in for our school board and our other stuff.
During
so-
There was a
COVID.
vote many years ago, 70s or 80s, they verified it through Maine Municipal that gave them the option. And essentially, if you vote your selectmen and school board members by secret ballot, that indicated to them that the town already adopted that form of town meeting government. That's why they have the options, just like you see each year, they, you know, the school committee wants to do it by secret ballot, and they take the recommendation, they had the option at COVID. So it's already in place. If they put it on a ballot and it fails, then they, you know, the option is no longer there. That's why they decided to do the non-binding question.
Okay,
But Maine Municipal did confirm they had the option currently as it stands.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other comment on that article? Okay. Article 3, would the, received by petition, would the petitioner like to speak to this before we open to comment? No?
I've already said everything that I
Fine.
had to say about it.
I just wanted to give you the option, Rollins.
I understand, thank you, Tom. I will answer any questions that anybody has to offer.
Okay, any comments on this item? This is to move to 5 selectmen?
So we have 3 select persons, and we have a total salary. So now if you do 5, you add 2 salaries, or do you spread yours out? You could get, you know, the school committee stipend of $250.
What was that?
Any other comment? Was that a question, or was that a comment?
Yeah, how would the money?
I'll take a crack at this. I don't think if we had 3 or 5, it changes the workload for a selectman. I may be wrong, but I don't really believe it does. I think there are things that I would have to continue. I might have fewer liaisons, but I think the work that I personally would put in as a selectman probably wouldn't change it very much. When you look at compensation for selectmen, the way I think about it, there's a tradition of the compensation levels being reflective of a sense of volunteerism. People volunteer time, but also acknowledge that their time is deserving of some compensation. I think to cut effectively the compensation for selectmen, personally, I would not be in favor of that. I think the extent to which it encourages individuals to step forward and to serve in this capacity, I think it's a relatively small cost in the overall scheme of things. And speaking for myself, I think the town gets good value out of that compensation. This is my own personal view. Been doing this for 8 months. So I would not be in favor of that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't come up here on Wednesday nights for the $100 and some I make a week for this job. But I also don't think that it would be good to turn around and just tell somebody else they shouldn't be good in it either, because I lose a lot of money coming up here on Wednesday night sometimes, because I gotta leave a job early and put somebody in a position where I am to take over my position. This job isn't for the money, but, you know, if we were to bill out for the hours of on the phone, dealing with departments, we'd be being paid severely underpaid, okay? So the money aspect of it, I mean, I guess it all depends on what the town wants to do.
Yeah.
I really don't care one way or another, but at the same time, somebody may. So if they feel that, you know, their salary is fine the way it is, and I'm not gonna say that they shouldn't get it. But at the end of the day, if we split it up, I mean, I hope nobody's running for this job for the money. But if they are, they're doing it for the wrong purpose. But no, I wouldn't divvy it up. At some point, we gave a 7% raise this year to everybody in town. Well, most everybody. There was some, the fire department got the 5 and whatever. But I don't believe we took that raise this year. And we did that because, you know, it's tough to give yourself a raise. So at some point, it probably will happen as inflation keeps going up and up and up. But it wasn't in our discussion at all. So either way.
I do know at one point the school board consisted of 3 people. Quite a number of years ago, it went to 5, and I think that's been advantageous to the school and to the town, and I think this is a good idea. And you're right, David, nobody does this for the money. And if you sort of have to be either retired or self-employed to have some
And really,
flexibility.
that really, you're right, but, I'll tell a quick story, okay? I got picked for jury duty once. I didn't want to go. I had like a $60,000 job I'm on. I had 5 guys on the crew. I get called for jury duty. I'm the guy that's got to be on that job, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I show up at the courthouse. I'm in the courthouse, and I'm like, walk up the window, and I tell the lady, how do I get out of this? And she says, Mr. Winchell, go sit down. Well, number or whatever I was. I went and sat down. 10 minutes later, I get a call from upstairs. They want to see me. I go up, it's the judge. I'm sitting in the judge's chamber. He says, Mr. Winchell, I know you don't want to be here, but if we had just retired people or people out of work doing this, it wouldn't be very fair, okay?
True.
Okay? I have a job. I'm here. I even make time to come during the day if I need to be. Luckily, I'm self-employed. If you're a person with a job 9 to 5, this makes it very
Can't do it.
difficult.
Very difficult.
So what it does is it takes this job and condenses it down to a certain amount of people, retired people,
Self-employed that have some flexibility
unemployed,
with hours.
which we don't
yes.
have a lot of, but, so it condenses the field down a little bit.
Yep.
No, I'm not in favor of this 5-member board, for the reason in that we've been doing this for a long time. Now, I've heard many people say, oh, tradition, tradition, tradition. We're talking about town meeting, same thing, tradition, right? Well, there's a couple different ways of looking at this, okay? We got the 3 of us, this board will revolve, okay? I may not be here in a couple of years, neither him or Kim, okay? It's a revolving board typically, unless the town feels that we're doing our job. Added 2 more people to this board, whether or not it's, I hear, oh, well, you got more views and more of this and more of that. Well, we have all these committees and we have selectmen's meetings every Wednesday night. Okay, we get all the views, we're supposed to take those views in and compute them and then, make our best choices on it. But at the end of the day, when you look at how many people actually run for the job, like we were talking, retired people, people out of work, or whatever reason, they can do it, it's condensed down to so much that I feel that the next vote, you'll be voting in 2, right? We had 2 people run for the last one. Tom, you had, I don't know, there was like 5 or 6 of them, but I think that was just a fluke. Everybody got excited. And, but at the end of the day, are you gonna vote in the best person, or are you just gonna vote in the person that just ran? Because that's what you're gonna end up getting.
Well, sometimes that happens with a board of 3 as well.
But it can.
Yeah.
But this next one, you have a better chance of that, So, I don't know, I feel we do our job. We try to be as transparent as we can. By adding on more individuals on the board, whether or not, that's just gonna create a lot of confusion, I think. Because at this point, when there's an issue, we all wanna be involved. We can't make any decisions, major decisions, outside this meeting.
Correct.
So, you guys all see that every day. Now, whether or not we're making bad decisions up here, and we need 2 other people to come in and tell us how to do our job, maybe that's the case. But, every day, every Wednesday, you guys are able to see us on TV or be here and tell us whether or not we're doing a good job. And I think we're doing our job. We're trying anyways.
Yep, that's all we can do.
I'm also not in favor of this article. I think had I not been able to see what a selectman does and was presented with this as a resident, I might think, gee, this sounds like a good idea. First off, I'm not sure what's broken. I'm not sure I've heard that yet. I know that I know it's been suggested that there'll be more ideas and perhaps that will be a more creative process by having more people contributing it to it. The difference, or the thing about selectmen is, they're actually managers of the town. We don't have a town manager. We have a town administrator. And the various employees of the town ultimately report to the selectmen. So think about any organization. You've got 3 people in charge, and three people in charge in terms of managing people. It can be difficult to get everybody on the same page, and get them on the same page in a timely way. Lots of issues come up every day. Issues come up every day. And we all have liaison responsibilities. But quite frankly, individually, we're not vested with authority to make those decisions. We have to come back as a board and make those decisions. But the liaisons will try to figure out what the issue is and hopefully bring along the other 2 selectmen. And quite frankly, Jennifer plays a role in that as the town administrator. I'm not allowed to talk to these 2 folks outside of this meeting. I can't pick up the phone and say, hey, David, I got this issue, what do you think? Our council has said that cannot be done. So Jennifer can call me, get my thoughts on it, kind of share it with David or with Kim. No decisions are made, but it can allow those issues to be advanced and to make some progress on them outside of the meeting, so that we're hopefully coming together at the meeting and are closer to understanding what the issue is and where we all stand on it. If you increase it to 5, it's going to increase the traffic. I really don't see a lot of advantage to it, personally. And as I say, I'm not quite sure what we're trying to fix. Because I think the process works reasonably well today, considering that we have 3 fully empowered managers trying to manage a rather complex organization with lots of employees. Just my thought. Any other comment? Bernard?
Well, I signed the petition asking that this go before the voters, and thinking that moving to a 5-person select board was a good idea. And I have since changed my mind, and I feel very strongly that it's not a good idea, for a variety of reasons. Yes, I believe this is going to impact the town fiscally to tune of $20,000. I also believe that there are a number of sub-agendas at work with why this is coming forward, and I believe that part of that is a desire by some to transition to a town manager form of government. And I'm not sure whether those that are moving for that realize the fiscal impact that that will have on the town. There have been discussions at various meetings about what our current town administrator makes, with, in my view, an insinuation that it's too much. But it's not just for the duties as town administrator. So if you do move to a town manager form of government, it's not like you're going to eliminate all that Ms. Rue is paid currently, because it's for a variety of jobs. Right. And then you're going to add benefits on top of that with multiple employees. You know, the cover letter that came with this, I just want to read quickly some of it. The town administrator / town clerk handles a wide range of town administrative functions. A shift to a 5-member board shifts the role to the selectmen, who are elected to do their jobs. I have no idea what that means, whether they think that the town select board is going to be in there filing and answering phones. An expanded number of selectmen creates greater oversight of the town administrator position. I don't understand what the perceived need for that is or what it would be. The board, therefore, have greater capacity to explore issues by allocating responsibilities to more members, and decisions will be more thorough because 2 or more perspectives are present. I don't know what that's about. It would be the best model for Acton to oversee and control day-to-day executive duties of the town administrator who is overworked as it is. If that is the genuine concern, why not take that $20,000 and add some additional help at the town hall, if that's the problem? I'm not aware that it is. You know, on the issue of transparency, another thing that is cited in this is that, as you said, Tom, you can't be speaking with another select board member because out of 3 people, 2 creates a quorum. What this suggests, the cover letter, is, well, if we go to 5, then there can be some of these 2 people discussions. Well, frankly, I want transparency. I don't want those side discussions. So again, I've come to believe that this is not in the town's best interest. Some of my concerns, frankly, were about attendance at the time, but people were sick, and we also had 1 member of the board resign, and so then we were down to 2. So the concerns I had about attendance or about feeling that not everyone on the board seemed to speak up and speak their opinion, I've seen change. So I'm totally satisfied with the board. I don't know what the problem is, but I do think there are some ideas about changes that some people may think they will get if this goes through. And the reason that I'm saying what I am is not to make it personal, but I think that people at home need to maybe think that through. If I vote for this, am I essentially voting for changes in how the town hall runs? Am I getting a step closer to a town manager model? Do I think that that's what Acton needs? Is this how we want to spend our money? Because it's not going to be an insignificant amount of money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bernie. I also want to say that, I mean, I haven't really said much on this. When I first came here, I thought a 5-member board was a good way to go because I thought more people would be a better thing, more, you know, people to bounce things off of each other and stuff. But as Bernie just said, he always seems to say what I'm thinking. I'm not really good at speaking, but I don't agree with it now because of different reasons. And I just don't feel it's about a 5-member board. I feel it's about other personal things. So anyhow, I don't support this right now.
Any other comment?
I could use the ladies' room.
Yeah, go right ahead. You want us to break, or you all set?
I can hear them.
Okay.
Oh, being as I am the person that brought the petition forward, and there are several reasons why I brought a petition forward. Number one, the selectmen were asked a long time ago to put that very thing on a warrant, and they declined, okay, which I didn't think was the right thing, okay? It's something for the voters to decide, and that's always been my opinion. I have no agenda. I am not running for selectman. I will not run for selectman again, okay? I don't know where Mr. Broder came up with the fact that tradition, people want to tear this town hall down. No one has mentioned that but him, that I know of, but that's neither here nor there. I support it because I think that more people would give more input to how things are run. I've never said anything about whether or not our town administrator should be paid what she is paid. I simply brought up at the Warrant and Finance what the average town manager makes in York County. okay? Effectively, in actuality, I'll give you a question, Tom. See if you can answer it for me. What's the difference between a town administrator and a town manager?
A town manager is actually a manager, and they have decision-making authority. And if you have a town manager, it's my understanding the selectmen have less authority.
Town manager works for the selectmen.
They do, you're absolutely right, but the town manager on a day, the town administrator cannot make any managerial decisions. They take care of the day-to-day business functioning within the office. Hold on, you asked a question.
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm not trying to interrupt.
A town manager would actually, as I understand it, take the responsibility for the day-to-day management that I have. I'm the liaison with the transfer station, the fire station, someone else, Warren Finance Committee, not managing. But I'm the liaison there, and it's my job to understand what their issues are, what the managerial issues are, if there are personnel matters, to bring those forward to the selectmen so the selectmen can make those decisions. There's a town manager, those matters will be dealt with by the town manager.
Right.
Accountable to the selectmen, absolutely, but the town manager will have the authority day in and day out to actually to make decisions about those things. There'll be specific powers granted to the town manager. I suspect the state has probably laid out what some of those authorities can and can't be, and it's going to be much broader than what the town administrator has today.
Each town probably has their own.
It has their own rules, but from what I've been able
Sure, the
to
state
see
has a-
in reading about town managers, is they typically do have more authority. I would equate it to the school board. You've got a school board, but you've got a superintendent. And that superintendent is there on the ground managing the school day in and day out. And the school board acts as a board as opposed to a managerial unit. And I think the same thing would happen to the town if we had a town manager.
Do you think we need a town manager?
No.
Okay, well, when
Acton can't afford a good town manager, okay? There's no way in hell that Acton can afford to have somebody who has, number one, the education, number two, the experience, et cetera.
Have you seen our general surplus? You don't think we can afford a town manager?
You think the town wants you to spend some more money, David?
What's that? Well, no, but I guess probably what you heard me when we were at the finance committee the other day, when they were making their up and downs, or whatever you want to call it. I did mention that this was just one step closer to a town manager. And then you got up and said, well, you know, our town administrator makes blah, 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 so it's about the same thing anyways. So it sounded like you were talking about a town manager at that point, Don.
No.
Because that's what you kind of said on TV.
No.
Okay.
I don't agree with the town manager.
So then why was there a comparison between our town administrator and a town manager? Why was there a comparison?
Somebody asked a question, I answered.
Well, I never heard a question saying is our.
We'll go back and watch the
Well, I was
meeting.
there, but I never heard the question say, is our town administrator paid like a town manager? I never heard that.
I
You
didn't
just
say
came
that,
up-
I did not say that she was paid.
Roland, did you have any other comments you'd like to make?
No, you guys are going to do what you guys are going to do what you want to do, okay?
Well, it's actually not us. It's
No.
going to go for the town.
Again, I brought this forward
Yeah.
strictly because I think the voters need to make that decision.
Right. That's
okay?
what will happen.
And that's it,
Yeah,
okay? I don't want to be a selectman. I'm tired.
okay, thank you.
Now, at the meeting, at the finance meeting the other night, you said that you didn't write this,
I did not.
Can-
Would you like to know who the author was?
yeah, I do.
Look it up.
Nice answer.
Okay, all right, let's move.
Okay, let's move on.
I just asked you a question, that's
Happy to
all.
take any other comments or questions about this article. Okay, I think that covers all of them, correct, Jennifer?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Is there something else? Did I hear no?
You did hear
okay.
no.
Did,
I
We
said
did-
yes,
We
but
did
you
4
heard no.
first.
I believe we've covered all of the articles.
You have, Tom. I'm sorry.
Thank- Oh, okay, very good. Then we're going to move on. We've approved the agenda. Approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion that we just had them in front of me. What'd they do with them? Do you remember what last?
21st.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the agenda for the 21st of September.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Okay. Department head committee chair updates. Do we have any reports?
You skipped me.
Oh, excuse me. Well, let me finish with this. Are there any chair updates or reports? Okay. Jennifer, the
All right.
town administrator's weekly update.
Just a few things, because I knew we had the public hearing. Tax bills have been out. Everybody should have them by now. If by some reason you don't, please contact me. Code office needs to be closed this Saturday with your permission. He's taking a personal day. Transfer station is closed on Monday, the 10th, based on your policy. It is Columbus Day.
Okay.
York County Sheriff's Department provided us with a monthly update. Couple of notable events. First was a theft in Chapley, and they have an individual that was charged for felony. They have a they're missing gentleman, 77-year-old gentleman with dementia that was missing on Fox's Ridge Road. They were able to find him. There was a serious crash on September 3rd involving two vehicles in front of Iron Tails. Nothing to do with the establishment. Essentially, one was trying to turn in, and looks like they got rear-ended. There was a disturbance on Redgate Lane for a family disturbance. They were able to restore peace. There was an individual that was arrested from Chapley on some drug charges and outstanding warrants. We have a theft of $75 of a farm stand on Fox's Ridge Road. If you haven't seen that yet, they've plastered the pictures from the camera all over the Facebook. I would encourage you to look at that. I don't think... Oh, wait a minute, though. It goes on to say, my mistake, because it was a man they posted online, but this does say that a female called and reported she was involved. Non-payment was an oversight, and she paid it, so I guess that worked out.
75.
There was an unattended death on Fox's Ridge Road of an 84-year-old man. I was not considered suspicious. Another death of gentleman 57 in Chapley on Owl's Nest Road. They did not deem that suspicious. There was an incident on Granny Camp Pond in Chapley over a mountain bike and a couple of neighbors and a theft that they handled. An OUI, an off-duty Kennebunk police officer phoned in a possible impaired driver, and they did in fact pull someone over in front of Willie's, arrested him for OUI. Again, that was just the location. And then the last one I think that we all saw was the call on Langley Shore Drive, where the individual indicated that someone wearing just his underwear was trying to break in, eventually ran off, and I think the vehicle ended up in the water, and they were able to handle that with minor injuries. I also sent you the remainder of the calls. Last thing I wanted to announce is that absentee ballots will be available on Friday. As soon as this fine board of mine makes their recommendations tonight, we'll start printing them tomorrow. We got the states in, so give us until Friday. And just so the board knows, right now we already have almost 200 people looking for absentee ballots.
Great.
Oh, wow, good.
Okay, liaison updates. I think I reported at the last meeting, but I had an opportunity to sit on a warrant and finance committee when they were talking about these articles, and I met with the transfer station superintendent today as we're reviewing a number of capital projects and his needs down there, and those will be coming forward for consideration at some point, perhaps at a next town meeting or referendum vote. Fire department, I'm chairing the search for the new fire chief. Things are moving along well. We've reviewed resumes. We have candidates coming in tomorrow night. And hopefully we'll be able to make an appointment so that somebody has either been appointed or perhaps even able to start by November 1st when a current chief moves on to greener pastures. Capital Improvement Committee, no action.
So for me, rec committee, actually, I just talked to Sam yesterday, kind of went through a list, but she let me know that in cheerleading, the paperwork has gone out, so they're going to start cheerleading. They're working on the basketball. Also, the mum sale went well. I guess it was us, came out 50/50. They ended up getting $591 for their mum sales. She did have, what did she, just look here, if there's anything else. They voted in officers, they got that done. Talking about flag football, maybe for next year. They've kind of put the wrestling on the back burner, too. One issue, though, well, not issue, but we need to talk about, the food truck.
Yeah, I put it on the agenda as old
Okay,
business.
all right, so then we'll wait till we get
Because I
there.
figured you
or-
had to take action.
All right. Do you need TJ to, stay here, or?
You're gonna, I don't know if he's here to add to that. I put it under old business because I knew you were gonna have to vote. Yep.
Right.
Just here to get information on it and argue on its behalf or figure out what we need to do. I just.
So they can't make a decision until they get down to that
Okay,
part, so do
yeah.
you wanna wait? Do you mind hanging out a few more minutes?
Sure.
Sorry. All right, so
We'll
that's
get to it quickly. All right.
school. I'll be there next week. APAD, I haven't, things seem to be, hopefully everything's going okay. And again, cemetery committee, I
Have a meeting in
not yet.
October.
Yeah, so that's that.
Okay, well, road committee, I guess probably an update on, we had our public hearing the other night on West Shore Drive, the culvert bridge. Quite a few questions, a lot of answers. We also have another public hearing on the 19th. I don't have anything code enforcement land use as right now, or Mary Grant. Conservation Forest Committee, I am going to be meeting with the chair at some point here.
Yeah, he did call inquiring about the status, and I asked him to call you directly. That was a few days ago.
I talked to him today.
Oh, good.
And I advise him just to cancel the next meeting on the 17th.
Okay.
So that we can, we're working on a job description, a couple of little things, so we want to have everything ironed out before the next meeting.
So go ahead and cancel the October 17th meeting?
Yeah, he was supposed to have contacted the committee members. I just felt that we couldn't slap that together in time there for the next meeting.
Okay. Old business, water bids.
So I have scheduled for the gentleman from Dunbar to come in and meet with you next Wednesday around 10.
Yeah.
He is going to basically present to you why he doesn't believe the osmosis system is necessary and give you some quite impressive lower ideas money-wise, so I thought.
That's great.
At your last meeting, I think you guys agreed that you could meet with him, so
And-
that's scheduled.
And whatever I learned from that, we'll bring forward.
Sure.
I'll talk about that night at the meeting. Fair
Awesome.
enough?
Awesome.
Okay, warrant recommendations. So, do you need a vote?
Yes, individual
Yes.
vote on each one of them, please.
Okay, so, motion?
Okay.
So just be careful on your first one.
I was just going to say, yeah.
On your first one, I mean, you need to choose one or the other so the voter understands what your recommendation is.
Well, the first one would be that
Well, the moderator, you're not, I'm assuming you're skipping that one.
Oh,
So the
okay.
Article 2, sorry, yeah, you can't make a recommendation
that's
on
what
the
I'm like.
moderator, sorry.
so I just make a motion,
Make a motion to whatever you,
accept Article 2, the non-binding poll referendum vote regarding the future of Acton's annual town meeting. Which form of voting do you prefer? The open town meeting or referendum secret ballot?
so your motion includes which one?
Referendum.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Opposed?
Discussion? No discussion?
No, I think that takes
That's
care of
good.
three
Yeah, we've
votes, so there can't
discussed
be
it,
any
yeah.
others. So, so I think it was 2-1. So,
All right,
okay, Article 3.
It's your turn, David.
I make a motion to approve Article 3 as written.
I'll second that.
which one is 3?
Wait a minute.
Article 3, the vote,
3 to 5 selectmen.
yeah,
You want to
So-
approve it?
no.
Based on everything you just said?
as written, and then we'll, Well, no, I don't want to approve it.
Right, so your recommendation is it
Have to
ought
make a
not to
resolution.
pass.
Oh, I'll pass, yeah, I guess.
I'm not
Put it out
trying to,
there, I'm just going to vote against it.
oh, no,
so-
no, yeah, I mean,
But you do the ought not to pass, right?
Ought not to pass, so.
I'm just going based on what you said, I'm not trying to
Make a
encourage you, 'cause
motion,
I don't care.
Article 3, ought not to pass.
And I will second that.
All in favor? Okay, that was unanimous. Article 4.
To approve, I guess, Article 4, we want to approve the referendum vote to see if the town of Acton will vote to transfer $100,000 from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated capital improvement reserve accounts for the purpose of upgrading to LED lighting throughout the school.
Second that.
All in favor?
You're okay with me using the same language, approve the article as written, so it's
Yeah,
consistent?
thank you,
Okay.
yeah.
That's fine.
I'm out of it tonight.
Okay, so you'll be able to get to the ballots now with this? and
Well, I'm going to go in and type your recommendations during your executive session, bring it back out, and you have to sign the warrant.
We have to sign it. Okay,
Okay.
very good.
I didn't know what they'd be, so
No, that's fine. New Bridge Road letter, it went out?
it's gone, come and gone and come and gone. He has not replied.
Okay,
No.
and so our next action is,
David is my road liaison.
My suggestion is that we send him a certified letter, giving him a week from receiving the letter to either come up and sign the agreement, or that will be forced to taking his fence down and have him set it back.
That the town will start removing the fence?
Yes, it's in the right of way.
So 1
Okay.
week from the date, and if, with your permission, I'm just gonna have the deputy deliver the letter.
Yeah, because the problem is, we got snow coming.
Right.
If it's not moved, then we're gonna end up being liable for the fence.
if a snowplow or snow
Yeah.
knocks it down from the plow?
Yeah, then we're liable.
The town is liable to fix it?
Yeah.
Which,
So, again, he hasn't signed the letter, so.
okay, seems like a good course of action. Concession fees, the rec soccer event, Kim?
Okay, well, where is
TJ?
TJ?
So at the last meeting, while he's coming up, remember that you essentially had us go back to the rec director and tell her to negotiate an amount.
Negotiate,
Yeah.
So we're trying to come up with what that amount is, so we can move on from this.
So I read something along the lines of like $125 is the insurance they have to pay. That's like not negotiable.
Well, they should have, if they're food trucks traveling
They'll
from
have
A to
it.
B to C, they should have to have insurance anyways.
Okay.
That's nothing to do with the town of Acton. They do need
Okay,
insurance.
I'm just going through my notes, what I took down. So insurance is not something they're worried about, right?
No,
Worry
I
about.
mean,
Well, they're gonna have to show proof.
they
of-
They have to show
have
proof of insurance,
right.
but that's not like a flat
They don't
cost.
have to pay us
So I don't know about
No,
any of
no,
this.
no, that's
It's
okay.
really not our issue, I
Okay,
guess is what I would say.
so that's not our issue. The
What our
is
issue is we just want to set a flat fee.
of what to pay.
Right,
and-
instead of doing a percentage, we had already decided, whether it was last week, or the week, whatever, when we decided, we said we just wanted a flat fee.
I think a flat fee makes sense.
Right,
A
so,
rental fee.
Well, instead of them saying, okay, we're gonna give you 25% of the proceeds, which I guess if you weren't making a whole lot, it would stink either way, I guess, but,
Yep.
if you had a flat fee, say $100 or something like that,
Yep.
then that money can go back in.
Can we
the,
negotiate with her?
There's just
It's,
there's no tracking on the percentages. We want to make sure the committee understands why the board, there's no
Right.
tracking. We don't, the committee, the food truck can't give us anything showing what they made. That's why they went away from the percentages. That's based on the auditor's
Yeah, that would be hard
recommendation.
to negotiate.
And we don't wanna be going through someone's cash
yeah,
register,
no.
I mean, this is not our job.
The idea is just to bring people there and have some appeal for it. So if you all are flexible with what we negotiate, is there like a bottom line?
So we'll
think we
just,
have a
so yeah, 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago, we gave her that authority and she couldn't come up with a number. So I think that
so
tonight
we're
the board's
coming up
gonna
with a
decide.
number, yeah. We'd like $100.
$100, okay.
Yeah.
If she's not willing to pay that, are you okay with us or maybe a mysterious individual in the Acton Rec making a donation to make sure that's met? And then, or is that like,
If they wanna make the donation to that food truck to make the donation back, they can do whatever they want.
so then there's no squirreliness about that and like, hey, this is an ethics
I think it's appropriate
issue?
for someone
To
coming
donate,
on
that's-
to town property who's operating a business, for us to get a really modest.
I definitely
rental
understand
fee.
that.
And so if somebody wants to give them the $100 to give us, that's fine.
Okay.
That looks really bad, though. I mean,
Yeah,
that
it
looks
does look
real,
bad,
that looks
yeah.
really bad.
All we care is we
I'm
get.
covering all
is
my
we get
bases right now. I want to
$100
know
for
the whole Rolodex, the
I
whole
know.
Swiss Army knife I
But,
have, what all
but-
tools I have, and then I get to go to the.
But for the board, I
situation.
mean, we don't, I mean, I just think, let's talk about this just for a second. I mean, it's gonna look really bad if the public, you know, I mean, if a rec member, if, you know, if they don't end up, if they won't do it for $100, they only do it for $150, and then the, you know, a rec member
She's just
gives
coming
up
up.
that other $50, that's just gonna look bad on
Of
behalf
course,
of the
that
board.
definitely looks bad.
I mean, $100 is not a lot of money.
No, it's
I mean,
not.
No.
I say just.
I just don't want to scare this. It's like trying to learn a rabbit right now. I don't want to do any sudden things to scare them
How
away.
many people
if
are going to be there?
Right, I
So
mean,
approximately 120 to 130 we're expecting.
And what is
I
the
think
average
100
item
bucks
cost?
is. So I'm just going over worst case scenarios. I hope $100 isn't bad. Thumbs up, and then we're good to go after that.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
yeah.
If
But
there's,
I mean, the items they're selling, I mean, they're gonna make their $100 back and then some?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
would-
anybody in that line of business, I would think they would know the ratios and what they're
Yeah.
gonna make. They wouldn't show up if they didn't think they're gonna make any money.
Right.
I just want to know my moves.
I
If
would-
she came back to me and said $100 is crazy, what do I come and say to you guys? Oh, we're not
She being
doing
the
it.
concession owner?
The concession owner you're
Yes.
talking about.
It's for Miner's Diner mobile truck.
And is she the only one that you guys have
It's
reached
not
out
Mel's
to?
Raspberry Patch?
No, I think it's
You can't let
Miner's
the board
Diner.
members put money in that. That's
No,
look bad on you
no.
guys.
Do we have, like, phone numbers? I was told it was Mel's Raspberry Patches who was doing it, but maybe there's more than one.
I thought there was two.
That and the ice truck.
Ice truck, right? Or no,
The ice
we're not
truck is
doing
coming.
Yeah, the icy truck may or may not come. We're
Okay.
just set on getting the food truck and that
Okay,
handled. and
because I
then
know
we're
you
gonna go
can't
from
do
there.
the concessions because you're at the school.
TJ,
Would you
what
like
I
me
would
to
do is
call
I
him?
just, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, I
Right.
mean, I think you'll be all right.
Okay.
I can't imagine it.
If they say no, then you get back a hold of me. How's that?
Sounds
Yes.
good.
And then we'll,
Make
you
it
know,
easy.
how's
Sounds
that?
like a
Alright.
plan.
I try to cover all my bases.
Good job.
before- So, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, new business, facility assessment RFP. I've drafted sort of a scope of work document, shared that with Jennifer. She's going to drop it into our
Cleaning
standard RFP format.
Cleaning
She's going
award.
to share it with the selectmen. I'm sorry, am I missing something?
Skip something again.
Oh,
Just before we get too
I
far.
got too many X's in here.
Ah, sorry.
All right, award cleaning bid.
Yeah. So you have
Ms.
the,
Harden, hold on what I was saying.
you have the, I put you the master in your packet.
I do?
You have, it was right in order. Mrs. Shailene Guvero, this is the individual that, the only one that bid originally.
Yeah.
You guys recommended or requested that she go to an independent contractor. She's agreed to do that. We had her in here as a one trial run. Did a phenomenal job. The staff is so happy everything's being cleaned again.
Oh, good.
So we're just looking for a motion to hire her
Yeah,
on
I
as
came up
a,
with, met with her the other day.
Good.
So we're gonna-
Pleasant person, does a good job.
Fine.
Pretty excited.
yeah. And she's cleaning while we're here, so.
So when you say make a motion, do we need a motion to hire on as an employee?
No, you
No, we
guys
didn't
wanted
do
it as
that,
an
right?
independent
Okay.
contractor, yep.
All right, so we make a motion to hire Charlene Guvero as an independent contractor to do our cleaning here at the town hall for $30 an hour. Total price per week would be $120.
I'll second that.
Any comment? All in favor? Okay,
Okay.
very good. So at our next meeting, we'll have an opportunity to have a more fuller discussion about the facility assessment
Yep.
RFP.
You guys should have it.
And then it would probably be taken up for a vote at the following meeting. Okay. Liquor license application.
So you also have the original in your pile, next page
Okay.
down. This is a one-day wedding event. The insurance was attached. Only Tom has it, because there was only one original.
Okay,
The
want to look at that, or?
payment's been made, the insurance is attached, so one day. They're still licensed through the state. It's more of a information for the board.
Is this the same one that's been?
No, I think
No,
this is a different one.
Somebody different. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the liquor license to the business, doing business as the Roaming Catering Company.
I'll second that.
Any comment? All those in favor? Okay, so we have to sign that?
Please.
Can I use your pens? Because
Yeah,
I
sure.
ended up with a pencil.
We're next going to move into an executive session, MRSA 405-6A-1, dealing with a personnel matter.
I'll make a motion, we go into executive session, MRSA 405-6A-1 personnel.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Okay. We will,
Make a motion.
okay, we're going to come out of executive session.
I'll make a motion, we come out of executive session, MRSA 405-6A-1 personnel.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Okay, we're back in general session.
I'm going to let you kind of.
Okay, we just had an executive session where we had an opportunity to talk to Superintendent Ross about an appointment as a constable, and we have a motion to make.
I'm going to make a motion. That is it?
Okay.
Yeah, I got the right
These
one,
are extra
yep.
copies.
So this is a certificate of appointment, Title 30A MRSA 2602. Comes from the Selectmen's Office, Municipality of Acton, Maine, to Jonathan Ross. The Selectmen of the Municipality of Acton do in accordance with the provisions of the laws of the state of Maine hereby appoint you as constable with the following authorities: to procure and utilize a law enforcement radio in the event of an emergency. Number 2, to provide opportunities for training and development in contemporary methods of school safety within and for the municipality of Acton until 10/1/2023, given under our hand this 5th day of October, 2022.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? As you can see, this is a rather limited appointment as a constable with really 2 authorities, to communicate with law enforcement in the event of emergency and also to participate in training and development
And
as it relates to that.
the way he would, doing this, he would be able to have like a radio that he can get a hold of local law enforcement versus just picking up a telephone and, going through those steps.
Any questions or comments?
Was this from Mr. Ross?
Ross?
Yes.
Ross, yes.
And I should have come up here in front of me.
Sure.
And that's for, constable for the school?
Yes.
Just
yes.
the
Okay,
school.
just for the school.
Yeah, for a period of 1 year. It's a 1-year appointment.
I agree with you.
This doesn't affect whatsoever the constable that we have, Mr. Anderson, who still will
Right.
continue to do all of the town posting constable work. They're unrelated.
I just wanted clarification.
Yep, all right, I appreciate it. Anything else, Charlie?
So this is, this officer or constable, whatever you want to name him, he's going to be operating as a resource officer?
No,
I
no.
wouldn't say that. It basically, as the appointment says, he'll have the ability to communicate via radio with law enforcement so that in the event of an emergency, he's able to communicate with law enforcement
Who's in the area and
back
stuff.
and forth, whether it's the sheriff or whoever it might be.
But is this
Could
going to be
be state
someone who
police.
actually has arrest authorities?
No.
No, no,
it's just
no.
communication.
Just these
on there.
2.
Just
Just
those
listed on exactly what he's allowed to do, and that's it.
Well, that's my question is,
Right.
Currently, if there's an incident or John, maybe you should
Yes.
answer that question.
Yep, yeah.
Please, he can do it better than I can.
we can tag team?
I can talk, yeah, sure. You bet. So this is something, can you hear me okay from here?
Yeah,
This is something that in the last couple of years I've been thinking about, and with what happened in the spring in Texas, it was pretty clear that communication is one of the things that's supremely important. And working with local law enforcement, they just don't hand out police radios to anybody. So one of the things is you have to work for your municipality. I work for the school. And by doing this, what it'll do is it'll allow me to access an emergency channel that would only be used for that, not there's a car accident in front of the school. Everything else would be a 911 call. This would be, if we happen to have a very much an emergency like we've seen in the past, it allows me, if you would, to use a kind of a term like a quarterback within the building to work with law enforcement about where the perpetrator is, what's going on. I'm inside, all of our doors are numbered, go to door 19 or whatever, assuming that, we're able to do that kind of communication with law enforcement because they're going to show up and not know what's going on. if I do this, I'll be able to communicate with them. And also the training and development is develop a system so that if they ever did have to enter the school, I know what they're going to be doing, so I can help them with that as well. Because right now, we're a shelter in place. That's what we do.
Correct.
Right.
So, all right, I'm going to sidestep this a little bit, but the communication channel, is this going to be just going open frequency to York County Sheriff?
That would be the plan.
Or possibly better, in my mind anyway, to have a tactical frequency
Right.
that you can use so that all the rubberneckers aren't going to be showing up at the post office.
So you know something about this. So there's two. One is the tactical frequency, which doesn't get used very often. The other one is the York County Sheriff's Department, which is monitored and scanned. And there's the state police channel. I haven't had any conversations with the state police whatsoever. Tactical channel would be really good idea along with the regular frequency.
Well, a trunked tactical channel so that it's not scanned.
Correct, right. So the TAC would be one, two would be regular York County,
Correct.
Acton School to York County. Yeah.
All right, just so that you don't have a circus going on and lose
right.
control.
Correct.
Okay.
No, good question, yeah.
And so it's just going to be a communication liaison.
And training.
And training, but there's going to be no additional training as far as detention or
I'm
taking
shaking my head.
physical control of the situation.
Well, Charlie, here's the thing. You never know how you're going to react until you're under fire, so to speak, right? So we're supposed to shelter in place, and everybody would think they would run into a classroom to save kids, but you don't know until really you're in an emergency situation. So right now, you have myself and some other people in the building who I'd like to think that if something bad was going on, if the kids are sheltering in place with the teachers, we would probably have to take some action. The FBI has run, hide, fight, which is one method of getting out of a school building or an office. We do shelter in place. I really want to look at that. Run, hide, fight might be something we want to look at. There's a lot of pieces to safety I think we can pull together and be more proactive. So one of the things would be, when you speak of powers of rest, absolutely not. But a chance to perhaps stop somebody from who's doing grave danger to the school, absolutely, regardless. I'm the superintendent, I'm going to do that with the authority I have in me right now. So this isn't about giving me any more authority to stop somebody, but I can guarantee you if something's going on at the school, I'll use whatever authority I can to stop that from happening.
I just, if there's a written policy outlining what he or she can or cannot do, which holds are permitted, because otherwise this is going to be in the news if something should ever happen.
If something ever happened, it would be in the news anyway.
But
Right.
it'll be in the news in a
Right.
bad way.
Right.
Okay, so that's the only, be proactive about this and actually have a policy.
Okay, I can give you a really clear example of if I'm at a basketball game and it's an away team and the away team comes in and somebody smells of alcohol on the away team and they're disruptive, I'm going to go up and ask the person to quietly calm down or we got to go. And if they want to decide I'm not the guy they want to deal with, I pick up the phone and call 911 just like I always would. Nothing's changed.
all right.
That's my point, because those
For-
things, believe
for
it or
the
not,
resource
those things happen anyway, yeah.
But for this
I believe-
constable in the school,
Right.
what would their authorities and what's their policies?
The two
Just these
pieces.
two
Just
things,
the
that's it,
the
just
two
what we
items
just
that
said.
were read.
Okay, that's
Training
it.
That's it.
Limited to
Training and
those two
communication.
items.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, good enough.
And the training really,
For training.
obviously, any new
Coming.
training you gets gonna be better. You can come back to us if we're gonna make any changes or whatever.
And lastly, it's not in the appointment, but this could, and I'm not sure, could open doors for any kind of funding to help with any kind of training, because I may be on the inside track of grants and other things.
You know, it doesn't need to be
That happens
in the
anyway. It doesn't need to be, because there's a
That's right.
public school, we
We
could go
can
for
always
those.
find a way to take money. All right.
so
Any
we
other
need to-
comment on this? Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? Okay, motion
Okay.
carries.
So let's sign this.
Thank you. There you go, David. I'm going to find where my agenda went to.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is, right in front of me. Thank you. Taking care of the appointment, liquor license, we're on item E now. Sign the November warrant.
David?
Yeah, okay, where are we? I just had it in front of me. Where did I put it? Did I give it? Oh, there it is. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Tuesday, November 8th, 2002 warrant as written.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Okay.
So we did add the recommendations in, and Raymond, we put the word "or" in.
Yep.
So it's all approved there.
All right, now I'm going to make a motion that we go into another executive session, MRSA 405-6A-1- personnel.
I think the only item we have after this would be announcements
Public comment, yeah.
and public comment.
Want to do that first?
Can we do that first?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's, any public comment?
Can you pass that down, David?
What's that?
Did you sign that?
I need the constable and the
Oh, yeah.
warrant.
Where is the original?
You do that first.
Thank you.
I already did the constable.
It's right here in front of you.
Oh.
Okay.
That's done?
Then we got you.
Yep. There you go.
Thank you.
There we go.
Go for it, sir.
Oh, my God.
Executive sessions are indeterminate time period. And I think somewhat disruptive to the citizens that do show up. I was wondering if it's possible for you to schedule your executive sessions after all old and new business is completed, with the stipulation that no new business will be brought in after the executive session, after you come out of executive session, and that anything that might come up from executive session would just be carried over to the next meeting. And that way, if people can't stick around or,
Right,
you
don't
know,
have to,
don't feel
yeah.
like waiting for 5 minutes or 2 hours, depending upon how in-depth your executive session is, that could be accomplished with really not disturbing anyone.
I'm thinking of appointments in particular.
Yeah, I mean, if I can, I do, it is, their instruction to me is exactly that. Executive sessions go last on the agenda, and it's always the attempt. Once in a while, like this for tonight, Ms. Ross needs this appointment to be able to go to the sheriff's, or to the law enforcement tomorrow to take the next step. So I had to plan it, because they can't sign it ahead of time, so I had to plan it to have it and then sign it. As far as the November warrant, remember, they made the recommendations, so I had to have time to go in the room and type them up. So I had to bring that, you know what I mean? So I do my best to put things at the very end. So point taken, and we certainly try to do that, but sometimes there has to be things to be signed.
Okay, but why couldn't those C, D, E, and F be brought in as an item 13? And that way you could have had any public comments, because the appointment has nothing to do with anyone that's here. It's just
Well,
a
it could,
vote.
you had a nice lengthy conversation with them, so.
Yeah, we wanted comment on that.
Right.
So we don't
Oh,
want, we
okay.
don't want you to leave, and, you know what I
Right, we
mean?
want you to-
That's why it was there. We thought there would be interest in the community about that.
Okay, all right, I see. Well, then, I still think, you know, you should try to do that, and if you're doing that, great. I know the first year that I came to town, or selectmen's meeting, it was almost right in the middle.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that really messes people up.
And
They're
I'm-
sitting here for 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And, okay, when are they coming out?
Right.
We typically have it at the end, and a lot of times we'll have our public comment, knowing we're gonna go into one, because it could be quite lengthy. We come out and there's nobody here. So we'll do the public comment, the announcement, then we're going into executive session, so we don't have that problem.
Okay.
Yeah, we do try, but if they're gonna do a termination or something, depending on what it is, I mean, we do take that into consideration each week, I promise you. I do my best to get them at the end.
As long as you're aware, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, public comment. Any other public comment? Okay. Announcements?
You're looking at me? Okay. Announcements. October 6th, Planning Board and Public Hearing, 6 PM. On October 7th, we have the Rec Committee at 4 PM. October 8th, Mary Grant Committee at 10 AM. On the 12th, we've got a Select Board meeting at 6 PM. 19th, Select Board, 6 PM. 20th, Planning Board, 6 PM. 24th, Road Committee at 6 PM. 26th, we have a Select Board at 6 PM. And October 30th, we have our Rec Committee meeting at 9 AM.
Don't we have a public hearing on the 19th also?
Yes, we do. So during our select, well, or before our select
We'll add-
board
we're gonna
meeting,
add it.
right, we're also going to be having
Good catch. We'll get it added.
Good
This is
job.
West Shore?
Yeah.
Yep.
The notices went out, it's just not listed
Yeah.
out there.
And
but
we'll
it should
be
be.
Sure.
meet with the federal agencies, state agencies, along with
Yep, so we're having another public.
everybody else.
Yes, okay.
All right.
I think we're now, you had made a motion?
Made a
on
motion,
executive
yeah.
session?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Okay, we'll come back out, close out the general session. You're welcome to stay if you want, but there's no need. You're not going to be... Okay. I believe this is all signed. Is there anything else you've signed here, Dave?
Oh,
No, that's
just
it.
the
we didn't have to
alcohol.
sign, Charlene.
Okay.
You go.
License,
All right, so we need to make a motion.
Okay, we're going to come out of executive session.
I'll make a motion, we come out of executive session MRSA 405-6A-1 personnel.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Okay, we're back in general session.
I'm going to let you kind of.
Okay, we just had an executive session where we had an opportunity to talk to Superintendent Ross about an appointment as a constable, and we have a motion to make.
I'm going to make a motion. That is it?
Okay,
Yeah,
this
I got
is-
the right
these
one,
are extra
yep.
copies.
So this is a certificate of appointment, Title 30A MRSA 2602. Comes from the Selectmen's Office, Municipality of Acton, Maine, to Jonathan Ross. The Selectmen of the Municipality of Acton do in accordance with the provisions of the laws of the state of Maine hereby appoint you as constable with the following authorities: to procure and utilize a law enforcement radio in the event of an emergency. Number 2, to provide opportunities for training and development in contemporary methods of school safety within and for the municipality of Acton until 10/1/2023, given under our hand this 5th day of October, 2022.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? As you can see, this is a rather limited appointment as a constable with really two authorities, to communicate with law enforcement in the event of emergency and also to participate in training and development
And
as it relates to that.
the way he would, doing this, he would be able to have like a radio that he can get a hold of local law enforcement versus just picking up a telephone and, going through those steps.
Any questions or comments?
Was this from Mr. Ross?
Ross.
Yes.
Ross, yes.
And I should have come up here in front of me.
Sure.
And that's for, constable for the school?
Yes.
Just
yes.
the
Okay,
school.
just for the school.
Yeah, for a period of 1 year. It's a 1-year appointment.
I agree with you.
This doesn't affect whatsoever the constable that we have, Mr. Anderson, who still will
Right.
continue to do all of the town posting constable work. They're unrelated.
I just want a clarification.
Yep, all right, I appreciate it. Anything else, Charlie?
So this is, this officer or constable, whatever you want to name him, he's going to be operating as a resource officer?
No,
I
no.
wouldn't say that. It basically, as the appointment says, he'll have the ability to communicate via radio with law enforcement so that in the event of an emergency, he's able to communicate with law enforcement
Who's in the area and
back
stuff.
and forth, whether it's the sheriff or whoever it might be.
But is this
Could
going to be
be state
someone who
police.
actually has arrest authorities?
No.
No, no,
it's just
no,
communication.
just these
on there.
two.
Just
Just
those
listed on exactly what he's allowed to do, and that's it.
Well, that's my question is,
Right.
Currently, if there's an incident or John, maybe you should
Yes.
answer that question.
Yep, yeah.
Please, he can do it better than I can.
you can tag team?
I can talk, yeah, sure. You bet. So this is something, can you hear me okay from here?
Yeah,
This is something that in the last couple of years I've been thinking about, and with what happened in the spring in Texas, it was pretty clear that communication is one of the things that's supremely important. And working with local law enforcement, they just don't hand out police radios to anybody. So one of the things is you have to work for your municipality. I work for the school. And by doing this, what it'll do is it'll allow me to access an emergency channel that would only be used for that, not there's a car accident in front of the school. Everything else would be a 911 call. This would be, if we happen to have a very much an emergency like we've seen in the past, it allows me, if you would, to use a kind of a term like a quarterback within the building to work with law enforcement about where the perpetrator is, what's going on. I'm inside. All of our doors are numbered. go to door 19 or whatever, assuming that, we're able to do that kind of communication with law enforcement, because they're going to show up and not know what's going on. If I do this, I'll be able to communicate with them, and also the training and development is develop a system so that if they ever did have to enter the school, I know what they're going to be doing, so I can help them with that as well. Because right now, we're a shelter in place, that's what we do.
Correct.
Right.
So, all right, I'm going to sidestep this a little bit, but the communication channel, is this going to be just going open frequency to York County Sheriff?
That would be the plan.
Or possibly better, in my mind anyway, to have a tactical frequency that you can use so that all the rubberneckers aren't going to be showing up at the post office.
So you know something about this. So there's two. One is the tactical frequency, which doesn't get used very often. The other one is the York County Sheriff's Department, which is monitored and scanned. And there's a state police channel. I haven't had any conversations with the state police whatsoever. Tactical channel would be really good idea along with the regular frequency.
Well, a trunked tactical channel so that it's not scanned.
Correct. Right. So the TAC would be one. Two would be regular York County.
Correct.
Acton School to York County. Yeah.
All right. Just so that you don't have a circus going on and lose control.
Correct.
Okay.
No, good question. Yeah.
And so it's just going to be a communication liaison
and training.
And training, but there's going to be no additional training as far as detention or
I'm
taking physical control of the situation.
Well, Charlie, here's the thing. You never know how you're going to react until you're under fire, so to speak, right? So we're supposed to shelter in place, and everybody would think they would run into a classroom to save kids, but you don't know until really you're in an emergency situation. So right now, you have myself and some other people in the building who I'd like to think that if something bad was going on, if the kids are sheltering in place with the teachers, we would probably have to take some action. The FBI has run, hide, fight, which is one method of getting out of a school building or an office. We do shelter in place. I really want to look at that. Run, hide, fight might be something we want to look at. There's a lot of pieces to safety I think we can pull together and be more proactive. So one of the things would be, when you speak of powers of rest, absolutely not. But a chance to perhaps stop somebody from who's doing grave danger to the school, absolutely, regardless. I'm the superintendent, I'm going to do that with the authority I have in me right now. So this isn't about giving me any more authority to stop somebody, but I can guarantee you if something's going on at the school, I'll use whatever authority I can to stop that from happening.
I just, if there's a written policy outlining what he or she can or cannot do, which holds are permitted, because otherwise this is going to be in the news if something should ever happen.
If something ever happened, it would be in the news anyway.
But it'll be in the news in a bad way.
Right.
Okay, so that's the only reason, be proactive about this and actually have a policy.
Okay, I can give you a really clear example of if I'm at a basketball game and it's an away team and the away team comes in and somebody smells of alcohol on the away team and they're disruptive, I'm going to go up and ask the person to quietly calm down or we got to go. And if they want to decide I'm not the guy they want to deal with, I pick up the phone and call 911 just like I always would. Nothing's changed.
All right.
That's my point, because those things, believe it or not, those things happen anyway. Yeah.
But for this constable in the school, what would their authorities and what's their policies?
Just these two things, that's it, just what we just said.
Okay, that's it.
That's it.
Limited to those two items.
Yeah.
All right, good enough.
And the training, really,
For training.
obviously, any new training you get's gonna be better. You can come back to us if we're gonna make any changes or whatever.
And lastly, it's not in the appointment, but this could, and I'm not sure, could open doors for any kind of funding to help with any kind of training, because I may be on the inside track of grants and other things.
It doesn't need to be
That happens
in the
anyway. It doesn't need to be, because there's a public school.
We can always find a way to take money. All right. Any other comment on this? Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? Okay, motion carries.
So let's sign this.
Thank you. There you go, David. I'm going to find where my agenda went to.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is, right in front of me. Thank you. Taking care of the appointment, liquor license, we're on item E now. Sign the November warrant.
David?
Yeah, okay, where are we? I just had it in front of me. Where did I put it? Did I give it? Oh, there it is. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Tuesday, November 8th, 2002 warrant as written.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Okay.
So we did add the recommendations in, and Raymond, we put the word "or" in.
Yep.
So it's all approved there.
All right, now I'm going to make a motion that we go into another executive session, MRSA 405-6A-1-personnel.
Okay, I think the only item we have after this would be announcements
Public comment, yeah.
and public comment.
Want to do that first?
Can we do that first?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's, any public comment?
Can you pass that down, David?
What's that?
Did you sign that?
I need the constable and the
Oh, yeah.
warrant.
Where is the original?
Yeah, do that first.
Thank you.
I already did the constable.
It's right here in front of you. Oh, okay.
That's done?
There we got you.
Yep. There you go.
Thank you.
There we go.
Go for it, sir.
Oh, my God.
Executive sessions are indeterminate time period. And I think somewhat disruptive to the citizens that do show up. I was wondering if it's possible for you to schedule your executive sessions after all old and new business is completed, with the stipulation that no new business will be brought in after the executive session, after you come out of executive session, and that anything that might come up from executive session would just be carried over to the next meeting. And that way, if people can't stick around or,
Right,
you
don't
know,
have to,
don't feel
yeah.
like waiting for 5 minutes or 2 hours, depending upon how in-depth your executive session is, that could be accomplished with really not disturbing anyone.
I'm thinking of appointments in particular.
Yeah, I mean, if I can, I do, it is, their instruction to me is exactly that. Executive sessions go last on the agenda, and it's always the attempt. Once in a while, like this for tonight, Ms. Ross needs this appointment to be able to go to the sheriff's, or to the law enforcement tomorrow to take the next step. So I had to plan it, because they can't sign it ahead of time, so I had to plan it to have it and then sign it. As far as the November warrant, remember, they made the recommendations, so I had to have time to go in the room and type them up. So I had to bring that, you know what I mean? So I do my best to put things at the very end. So point taken, and we certainly try to do that, but sometimes there has to be things to be signed.
Okay, but why couldn't those C, D, E, and F be brought in as an item 13? And that way you could have had any public comments, because the appointment has nothing to do with anyone that's here. It's just
Well,
a
it could,
vote.
you had a nice lengthy conversation with them, so.
Yeah, we wanted comment on that.
Right.
So we don't want, we don't
okay.
want you to leave, and, you know what I
Right, we
mean?
want you to-
That's why it was there. We thought there would be interest in the community about that.
Okay, all right, I see. Well, then, I still think, you know, you should try to do that, and if you're doing that, great. I know the first year that I came to town, or selectmen's meeting, it was almost right in the middle.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that really messes people up.
And
They're
I'm-
sitting here for 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And, okay, when are they coming out?
Right.
We typically have it at the end, and a lot of times we'll have our public comment, knowing we're gonna go into one, because it could be quite lengthy. We come out and there's nobody here. So we'll do the public comment, the announcement, then we're going into executive session, so we don't have that problem.
Okay.
Yeah, we do try, but if they're gonna do a termination or something, depending on what it is, I mean, we do take that into consideration each week, I promise you. I do my best to get them at the end.
As long as they're aware, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, public comment. Any other public comment? Okay. Announcements?
You looking at me? Okay. Announcements. October 6th, Planning Board and Public Hearing, 6 PM. On October 7th, we have the Rec Committee at 4 PM. October 8th, Mary Grant Committee at 10 AM. On the 12th, we've got a Select Board meeting at 6 PM. 19th, Select Board, 6 PM. 20th, Planning Board, 6 PM. 24th, Road Committee at 6 PM. 26th, we have a Select Board at 6 PM. And October 30th, we have our Rec Committee meeting at 9 AM.
Don't we have a public hearing on the 19th also?
Yes, we do. So during our select, well, or before our select
We'll add-
board
we'll get it
meeting,
added.
right, we're also going to be having,
Good catch. We'll get it added.
good
This is
job.
West Shore?
Yeah. it's-
Yep.
The
Yeah, okay.
notices went out, it's just not listed
Yeah.
out there.
And
but
we'll
it should
be
be.
Sure.
meet with the federal agencies, state agencies, along with
Yep, so we're having another public.
everybody else.
Yes, okay.
All right.
I think we're now, you had made a motion?
Made a
On
motion,
executive
yeah.
session?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Okay, we'll come back out, close out the general session. You're welcome to stay if you want, but there's no need. You're not going to be